Hi, everybody.
Wait, hold on, wait, still preparing.
You're still preparing. It says live. You sure?
Now it's streaming.
Hi, everybody.
Wait, hold on, wait, still preparing.
You're still preparing. It says live. And it's echoing.
This is live. Sorry.
It's echoing, guys. Okay, let's see. Anyway, are we ready, guys?
You're all set.
Yep.
It's all yours.
Cool. Hi, everybody. It's Lesley Jane Seymour calling you from New Orleans, our new way of saying it, and my good friend Marla Wynne Ginsburg, who's here with me, getting me dressed, making me put on makeup. Can you tell?
That was a life choice. That was a life choice you made.
Life choice. First time in 6 months. Anyway, so here I am all dressed up for you, wearing one of Marla's tops because she's so sweet to send that to me. And what we wanted to do is say hello and tell you what we're doing. We're calling this More is More, which is kind of an ode to what I used to do, which was More Magazine, which is how Marla and I met. And we would like, and also you could say it's Seymour. That's what I played with all those days, was my last name, Seymour. Anyway, what we wanted to do was just do an informal chat once a week where we talk about those same topics that we had in More on Covey Club today. But actually do something live where you can join us, you can ask us questions. And it was really Marla's idea. We've been trying to get this together for a long time.
If it worked. If it worked, it was my idea.
If it works, it was her idea. Right. If it works, it was her idea. If not, it was mine. And but the idea was to do something really informal and talk about those topics that I know that are going through your heads at this point. And a lot of friends don't talk honestly about it. And what's so wonderful is Marla and I have become friends over time. And what I love about Marla is that she'll talk about all this stuff. Sometimes you have to put a little throttle on that. And but she has great perspectives, and she really, she'll say what the truth is. And I think kind of where we're heading as we move into this post-COVID period, which I'm guessing we're going to call it, BC before COVID and AC after COVID, is I think we want to be honest, and I think we want to talk about the truths in our lives, and especially as women over 40 or 50.
You are so generous. Okay, I'm over 60. Let's just put it out there. Okay, you aren't.
Me too. I have a big birthday. I have a birthday coming.
And what are you going to?
January 4th. Yeah.
January 26th. How old are you going to be?
64.
Oh, welcome to my world. But wait, I just recently got my Medicare card. And if anything makes you feel like you're 1,000 years old, like I listened to my parents deal about Medicare and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking like, oh, you old people. And I turned to them and I said, if you thought you were old, this is how old you are. You have a daughter on Medicare and I get discounts at movies. Yes.
Well, I sat there and said to my husband as I'm watching TV these days, and I guess I'm watching daytime TV, which means you're definitely older. And they're talking about you got to go on the Medicare plan. And I turned to him and I said, oh, so like next year, like this is going to be really important to me, right? So, but that was not our topic for today, even though I know with you, we're going to get way off all our topics. But the thing that everybody wanted, not you you won't trail us off into something else. But the really important thing that we wanted to get to, and that you and I were talking about, and that so many women feel and don't know it has a name, like the old thing, which was a problem without a name. This is a problem with a name. It's not a problem. It's a great thing. Is the fuck you 50s. And we can call it the fuck you 60s too. And it goes on from there.
Just fuck you after 50.
Completely. And sorry for anybody who has kids listening. This is definitely not going to be GT rated.
Yeah.
We're going to talk like girlfriends.
Tell you that, when I first met Lesley, she Lesley was always the woman with like the perfect little dress and her little skinny stomach, like she never had kids, which she did.
I did.
Okay, like this, Like, I would have like sort of a girl crush on her because she's smart and she's funny and she's bright. And I thought she was such a lady. And when she said to me, let's do the fuck you 50s, I was like, oh, you said the F word. Now I drop F bombs all the time and I don't know why, but I think fuck you 50 is such a great expression because there is something about saying, if I had Tourette's, I could understand, like flour doesn't do it for me, and you do reach a place. It may not happen at the strike of 50, but there is this magical moment where you realize I can't invest in more therapy. I am what I am. I can't put up with some of the things I used to be able to put up with. And the bubble over filter people with filters, which would be you, is
Not you.
you annoy me. Fuck you. What I do is go, I've put up with your shit for 20 years and I've realized no more fuck you, goodbye. But there's a part of it that also, and this is the good news, there is this sense of self-acceptance, don't you think?
Yes. And I think it's liberating. And what I wanted to tell you is I did find out, because we were talking about this phrase, which you had not heard. We'd written about it at More before. It was coined by Suzanne Braun Levine. I wanted to give credit to her. She used to write for us at More, very smart, wonderful woman. She was the first editor of Ms. Magazine. And the research says it describes the defiance many of us are feeling and acting on at this juncture in our lives. Little acts of rebellion, usually involving saying no, enable us to whittle away at long-held roles we no longer want to play. And that was March 11th, 2008. And I think women are surprised, don't you think, Marla, that they get to that point? I remember when I was a copywriter at Vogue in my 20s, and I used to come into the copy room terrified if we had 6 people in that room, and if they didn't look at me and smile, I spent the rest of the day wondering why, so-and-so didn't like me, and what did I do, and how could I say something different, and should I bring her, a gift tomorrow to make her like me, and all this wasted, just wasted. I look at it now as wasted time. And now, and I believe it's temporal. I know you said you didn't feel that much. I got to my 50s and I said, wait a minute, I may only have, if I'm lucky, another 50, probably not. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30. I don't have time for this crap. I don't have time for the people who are mean, who are difficult, who are nasty, who are not going to accept me the way I am. And I think there's a lot of that you can get rid of so that you can move through the second half of your life in a faster, easier manner.
I think that's really true. I went through it, for example, when I moved to Paris I don't even know, let's see, I've been back 10 years. I lived there for 30 years ago when I was such a young girl. And I moved to Paris. That
was my dream, which I didn't get to do. So eventually.
Post-COVID, girlfriend, I'm telling you right now, I am renting a pied-à-terre in Paris. And it's going to have 2 rooms and I'm booking my friends in and you are right there.
Great. No, I love it.
That day comes. What I did feel when I went to Europe, and I remember having an epiphany at one point, and I had been there a good 5 or 6 years, constantly the mantra in my head was, what will they think? What will they think? Mm-hmm. And then you gain the wisdom to realize, actually, they're not thinking about you at all.
They're not thinking about you. Like, that's the thing.
Right? When I moved to Hollywood, I remember there were now you have to remember, I went to Hollywood as an executive in the days when women served coffee and picked up your dry cleaning, there were very few of us, right? Because that's just how old I am. And it was like, you were iconic. Oh, Sherry Lansing, head of a studio. There was this was this was pre-everybody, right? And I do remember thinking, I'm not the prettiest girl. I'm attractive, but I wasn't the pretty little blonde, wonderful, fabulous model, which Hollywood is
awash in.
Cornucopia of beauty.
Right.
And I wasn't the brightest spoke. What's the expression? I wasn't the sharpest spoke in the wheel or whatever.
Back in the box. Yep.
Right. And I was just like, well, so what's left? I had great legs, so I wore really short skirts. And I worked harder than anybody. Mm-hmm. And I did think all the time about they. So as I carried they with me all over the planet from LA to Paris, I suddenly realized that actually I don't know who they are. They don't actually
We
matter.
make them up.
And I remember my mother once saying, if you can count your close friends on one hand, you are blessed. And I do
Right.
think that as we're young, we kind of fall into that high school desire to be popular, and we want to be head girl, and we want to be this and we want to be that. And so we worry about them, right? And then you go to college and realize, the game's up and it's a whole new set of social construct. But as we get older, I do think, once you settle down with someone, you have your kids, or you feel secure in your job, it starts to ease up because you've accomplished something. You're no longer just this potential, right? Like potential is attractive until like you're 30, and then you got to have some skill sets, right? But at 50, you know who you are. And if you don't, oh, I'm so sorry, because you're screwed. I feel like by 50,
But you can keep reinventing, though. I think you can keep
always
changing.
refine. You can
Yeah.
refine yourself. You
Right.
can reinvent
Right.
what you do. But I
Right.
don't think you can reinvent who you are. You are who you are. You can reinvent where you live. You can reinvent what you do. But you better pick things to do that are consistent with your authentic self. I got lucky because,
Yes. Yes.
I mean, my whole business came out of misfortune, but the good fortune that I knew who I was and I knew what I liked and I went after it. So I had the passion to do the heavy lifting, right? And I am very happy to have let go of the people who brought me down. I don't want to be judged. I welcome constructive criticism, whether it's from the people who work with me or my friends, but I don't want to be judged.
Right. Well, I think we all have learned that judging is not really helpful. I don't think it's helped anybody. And I think a lot of us thought people were, well, maybe they were. You and I were in very tough businesses, so maybe they were judging. I bet you they were.
Judged what you wore and what car you drove.
They did.
It was
They
all.
did.
I remember
They
thinking
did.
that if I didn't have a great car, I was a loser. I was living in LA, right?
Yeah, you
So
were right. It wasn't your imagination. They were judging you.
They were judging me, and I'll tell you a great aside about judgment. I buy this like 12-year-old diesel Mercedes because I had been driving like a rented hunk of junk. And so I buy this Mercedes, I pay cash for it. It's pristine. And I get a job at Columbia and I pull it up because I now have a parking place in the front with my name on it. And I get called in by the president who said, "What is that in your parking space? We give you money to have," I had a car allowance. "We give you."
You had a car allowance?
Yeah. Oh, honey, I had a.
And you had to use a special car? Oh my God.
What I did is took a trip to Thailand with the money and bought the
Oh
shit.
my God. Okay.
Right? And so for me, it was like, oh my God, I am being judged by this stuff. But eventually you actually don't care. Now I take
Now
Uber.
you don't care.
I live in Colorado and don't own a car. And if it weren't for COVID, I would just Uber everywhere. I go to LA, I Uber. Like, I don't want all the stuff I used to want.
Yeah.
I want people who love me, really good food, people who I can share it with, and everyone else can go fuck themselves. Because you're right, there's not a lot of time left. No matter how much time we have left, it just starts going like that. And I loved when you said this, fuck you 50s. And I think that there is something about the fact that the word fuck is in it, because there is something about knowing it's forbidden. I shouldn't talk that way.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And we were raised in this like divide between a wifey poo generation of the 50s. You wear an apron, you make sure you're sexy and your hair is perfect when he comes home. You take care of the children. You do, like, that was the largest part of the world of women. And our generation came along and,
said, no fucking way.
Right? First of all, there was birth control, so there was a fucking way.
Right.
But the world changed. So we got caught in this funny place of, I'm supposed to be this, but I'm feeling this. And what are the rules, right? What are the rules? And what I find in my mother, who's now in her 80s, is fuck you 50s didn't happen to her, but I will tell you, fuck you 80s happened to her.
Because she was delayed.
She is just like, ugh, I don't want to talk to them anymore. They're ridiculous, and she's like, she's really out there with who she is. And it's quite extraordinary to watch, even as she's going through some challenges with memory and stuff. She'll say to me, it's fascinating. I left my bedroom and went into the kitchen and forgot why. And she said, I thought I'll either cry or just fuck it. Like it happens. So there is this shift, and there is a great freedom and self-acceptance, because I don't even know how to pretend anymore.
I will vouch for that. That's true. But I think, you know what, but I think what's great, Marla, and I hope everybody who's listening realizes that it doesn't mean that you're going to be mean or nasty. And I think there was that old book, what was it called? I'm okay, you're okay. And I worry that sometimes when you get to this point, you could go over to the other side, which is, I'm great, everybody else is screwed up. And then you could be completely in your own world of going too far.
It could happen, but I think what really is at the essence of the subject is that I accept you, like, person X, who I just have put up with for years, and you call me only when you need something. And
that's right. That's right.
It's
that's
like,
right.
I love you. You've been in my life a long time, and you're fine, but I can't do this anymore. Like,
right. I don't have the time.
I have a friend who I adore, but there's no laughter. There's no happiness. Now, I will tell you, because of our history, I call regularly, I check in, I make sure she's okay, but I'm in and I'm out because I can't. There's too much, I have enough duty on my own plate between all the things that we are all going through. Like, none of us, that's the interesting thing about COVID, I think, is that it is the great equalizer.
Yes, we're all the same level.
You are, how much you know, whether you went to Harvard or you didn't go to school. I don't care who you are, what you do. This is affecting us all, and it's very humbling. And and I have found new people in my life. So in my apartment in New York, there's this wonderful guy, Ramon. And during the lockdown in New York, from March to when I left for Colorado, he was the only human being I saw every single day. A guy who didn't have the opportunity to go to college, has 2 kids. One of his kids has cancer. Like, he's got serious stuff on his plate. And this man would show up every day to see what I needed. How could he help me? Whether it was change a light bulb, walk the dog, or get me medicine. And I realized he was so precious, and is. We talk regularly. His wife, I sent clothes home. He was a hero. He'd bring home new clothes. What husband brings his wife? But he was a precious gift in my life, who I might not have, in my arrogance and busyness. Right. And I got this and I got that. I might not have ever known this wonderful, complex, interesting, bright man, but wears a uniform with the name Ramon on it. I would have, right? So there are opportunities in this time of life where we're pushing some things out of our lives. Also, of course, to the unsuspecting. I mean, you've told me stories since you moved to New Orleans that you've got a whole other world there.
New people, and and that's what that's what I love. I love this part of my life because when you get to a certain point where, I mean, look, we had the opportunity where we could move, and our kids are big and grown and gone, and we didn't have to live outside of New York City anymore, which was very expensive. And more than that, cold. My husband and I, neither of us like the cold weather. We're just not cold weather people. And so we decided, let's just take a plunge and do something else. And part of it was motivated by age, knowing, and I'd heard from a lot of people, I haven't done the research on it, I'll find out, but, saying that if you don't make a move, if you're, in your 50s or 60s and you decide to, you're not happy where you are, but you don't make a move in that time, you may not ever move. Because what happens is just a short time around the corner, you could find yourself infirmed, you could find yourself in some kind of health issue, and you are not going to move. So that was our impetus, which was, hey, we're in great health. Let's do it. Let's downsize. Let's change our whole area. And I want to talk a little bit about decorating your life in that respect, and knowing that who you are. Once you know who you are and you know that there's not a lot of time left, right? And you decide, okay, this is really what I want and this is who I want to be. And you're still friendly with the people who, maybe are draining you or taking and not giving, or who are difficult or who whatever. But you can move some of those people away or off or into the background. And then you can bring new people in who you care about. Oh, we get the Blue Angels every morning now. Now there's an army base nearby. So if you hear that, that's what that is. And I think that's very liberating also, is to be able to say, and we have a couple of pieces on Covey Club. I think most of you know, I now do. I've took the More magazine online, which is called coveyclub.com. And we have content, we have events, we have virtual learning, which is really terrific. Things like this, where we do with classes every week. But the idea is just be with the people that you want to be with. And we've talked about that. There's a couple of essays we have about decorating the people in your life. And it doesn't mean being mean or angry to anybody, but it means moving them to the back and not feeling as obligated to answer every single need. I mean, I think you can do it in a gentle way. I mean, do you have any how-tos as we move towards the end here? I want to make sure we give people sort of our how-tos and sort of tips and tricks on how you deal.
For me, it was learning to be gentler with the world, because I had to fight my way up. I mean, I've had a lot of battles.
You've had a lot of battles. Someday, yeah, I hope we'll talk about those, because you're really absolutely amazing in what you've done. It's extraordinary.
I'm resilient. I'm extremely resilient. But
You're super resilient.
But part of what used to is I get angry, right?
Sure.
I don't get angry. You know what I get angry at? Trying to get Xfinity and Comcast to my house. That throws me into a Tourette's-ridden moment.
Me too.
But I say that the key things are that I had to realize that not only is my time short, but the people around me.
Yes.
So the reason I'm in Colorado, for example, is my parents at 18, I put on a way too short skirt, got on a plane, left home, and never came back to Colorado except for like holidays, right? Ever.
And now here you are.
80s. And I realized, if I don't go home now, because home is my parents. So if I don't go home now, Dorothy will never get back to Kansas. Mm-hmm. So COVID was a blessing, because it let me, but I had to let go. What did I have to let go of? I put all my belongings. They're in a storage unit somewhere in New Jersey. I don't even know. I've never been to New Jersey except Newark. So I had to let
go. Love everybody from New Jersey. Let me interrupt
you, but I got to go visit.
I spent time in New Jersey. My husband's from New Jersey.
But I'm sorry, that's my life. And so I had to be willing to let go. I had to be able to let go of some of my friends, not be permanently, but for a while. I have to check in with them so that when I come back to New York, I haven't been a bad friend. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to Colorado, I also had to open the door and say, I'll go check on all my friends I left at 18. And some are fabulous to be with.
Cool, right?
Like are kind of Valium, and I'm not interested. Mm-hmm. I had to change the way I see the world, but I had to do it with a certain generosity of spirit and a kind of peace that this is where I am right now. And I will tell you one of the things that I think is the truth about this age. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
That's right.
So you want to be in as much harmony as you can, but I also want to control what I can control. So for me, the really important thing is where I live, my home, because I have learned there's nothing else I can control, nothing. And so you learn to roll with the punches a little bit more, whether it's health issues or losing friends or parents or whatever. So while we have this defined expression, the fact of the matter is it is a gentler time. And I think we have to be gentler with ourselves and gentler with each other. But time is currency. And I'm trying to spend mine wisely.
And I think that's the overall message of the Fuck You 50s, is that time is expensive and you don't want to waste it anymore. And I think in a way, I do think that COVID brought that home even faster and harder to all of us, which is, look, there are plenty of people who are here today and 9 days later, they're not. You really have to, spend your time wisely. And that's why we got to spend our time 20, our half hour here is something that we value. And that's something that we think is important for the conversations that people need to have. And I just wanted to say, because we're getting towards the end there, I'm hoping that all of the people who are listening and all of you who are out there and thinking about how different you feel and how liberated you feel as you get older, and if you're not, if you're in your 40s or 30s or dreading, I hear so many people dreading getting older, and I feel sorry for them, because it is fantastic when I no longer have to worry about what those mean copywriters at Vogue thought of me, or thought about what I wore, or thought about the height of my heel, or thought about my makeup, or thought about it's wonderful. It is just it's a great thing, and you should go with it. And if you are not able to feel that, then it's time to get some coaching, time to get some help, time to look inside and say, why can't I get to that? Because it's a wonderful thing.
It is. I mean, the only bad thing about getting older is you're closer to the end than the beginning.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so that sort of sucks, but okay.
It does suck.
But in the meantime, I think we can make it a meaningful time. And for me, it's been an unbelievably meaningful time. I want to not forget to mention that if anybody's out there listening to us, please hit the subscribe button, which is below, so that you can find us. And Lesley and I we love talking to each other and we enjoy one another. But over time, what I hope will happen is that you'll engage in the conversation, send us questions. If there's people
that would be great
to talk to, if there's subjects you want to.
Great.
Lesley
that
and
would
I
be great.
Experimenting. This is our experiment.
Yes.
In how to take I used to love when my More magazine came, and I found it a smart magazine for smart women. And you covered everything from politics to Botox. I mean, you had it all.
Yes. Yes.
And we're going to talk about frivolous things. We're going to talk about meaningful things. We're going to talk about, I'm living with my 26-year-old son, learning to live with your adult children and them learning to live with their cranky old mom. All of these are life challenges that are happening right now. And we want to be able to process it with you. Yes. And learn from you and learn from each other. And the worst that could happen is I get half an hour of Lesley Jane Seymour Friday.
And we get and the most important thing is to be honest with each other. And I think maybe that's what we can bring to this conversation. And we're going to do this weekly. We're going to do this at this time. And we would really love to hear from you. You can reach me at Lesley, my first name, Lesley @coveyclub.com. And Marla, how can they reach you?
Info at Marla Wynne, MarlaWynne.com. Wynne is my middle name, so I'm Marla Wynne Ginsburg. And that's where you can find me.
And send us ideas of what you want us to talk about. But I think next week we're going to talk about living with your older kids again, right? Because mine are coming in. They're coming in on Sunday.
And mine is sitting right over there and doesn't
There you go.
But now you know. And maybe we'll let you can maybe get on here and bitch and moan about me. He said it'll be easy.
Great. Well, thank you, Marla. This is so much fun. Weekend. Thank you for the great idea. And we'll keep this going, and please let us know what you'd like us to talk about. Good to see you in Colorado. One of the things we have to do is talking about how you can go home again. There are an awful lot of women I know who are coming home at this stage in their lives to towns that they said, I will never come back to.
It's not
And
so
here you
bad.
are.
I got news.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.